college football. Purdue is having a decent season. They are trying to stay in contention for the Big Ten West title, which is part luck because the Big Ten West sucks. Illinois is. Oh, come on, man. Illinois is leading the division and they lost to Indiana.
Just because, what did Rick just say? Alabama fatigue. Just because the teams aren't traditionally at the top doesn't mean the league sucks.
Nobody's got fatigue of anything to do with the Big Ten West. There's no fatigue there.
Wisconsin wins it almost every year.
Who cares? They don't do anything with it.
But your point. Just because the teams aren't traditionally good. Oh,
Here's the way I would look at it. Here's the way I would look at it. If Purdue and Illinois can do this, and Brett Bielema can do it in his second year, what's wrong? What's going on in Indiana?
Exactly.
What's going on in Indiana is unacceptable. At some point, there needs to be a reckoning of people who really have impact on the football program and say, this has got to change. You're either going to get serious about football and make the changes that need to be made. And I'm not talking about coaching changes. I'm talking about philosophical changes, investment in the program to change this. Or I don't know what the or is, but you can't keep looking. Minnesota had its nice little run, and now Illinois is having a run. Purdue is they lost David Bell and George Karlaftis, and they still keep going. And at some point, it's time to figure it out. Don't you think?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Because there's too much money involved, and that money keeps growing and getting higher.
It's important.
And if you fall behind even further, that really hurts, because even if you have a great basketball program, because college football drives the train in sports of money in this country. And you don't have to be Ohio State. You don't have to be Michigan or Alabama, but you got to be Kentucky. Kentucky is the exact program that I think they are competitive in the SEC. They're not going to beat Alabama, but they're going to beat somebody that they're not supposed to. And that's if you can beat a team you're not supposed to, that means you're competitive.
Wait a second. Why is it that if Kentucky's good, then it's because they're good? And it's not because the SEC East is down. It's not because the SEC East is down.
But
you just said if Illinois and Purdue aren't winning the West.
What
they're
division
in the East.
Is Georgia? Okay.
They're in the East.
And what team's number one in the country?
Is it still Georgia?
It is Georgia.
I honestly don't know. Okay.
So you can't say that down. I mean, they got their number one team in the country.
Here's what I would say. When Kentucky first started winning, people did say the SEC East was weak, but they've done it now consistently for a number of years. So they've earned the recognition for being, a winning team consistently. I think they've won like 4 straight bowl games. So it's like,
and they've been to several bowl. That's the thing
of the program. I mean, the Big Ten West is weak. There's no doubt about it, because I think we're in a stage. If either Iowa or Wisconsin's not good, we immediately say the Big Ten West is weak. But the Kentucky situation is a little different because they've been good now for a number of years. But anyway,
and the recruiting, and they hit on their recruiting is just gotten better. Stoops has done a good job, and to do that at Kentucky in the SEC, it's a little impressive, I've got to say. And he could have left. He could have left and gone to a bigger, better program, and he chose to stay in the SEC. And
they did a good job in the portal. Look at the dude they have at quarterback. He's a Penn State washout, and they've turned him in
to an NFL prospect.
Yeah,
I heard someone talking about him the other night.
And they took Wan'Dale Robinson away from Nebraska last year.
Man,
and turned him into an NFL draft pick.
So I mean, he was from Frankfurt, wasn't he?
He was from Frankfurt, but still, he went to Nebraska for 2 years. And when he left, I mean, I'm sure he had other options. I think Texas was interested in him, but they said no. Come back here. You can have just as much success here. The point being, though, I mean, Indiana needs to take a snapshot of the entire football program and say, what are the areas that need to be improved upon here to change this? Because when you're getting into situations 2 years in a row where you're giving up 38 points and losing games you should have won against, you could have won against Maryland, that's not going in the right direction. Last year they got boat raced by Rutgers, right at home. Wasn't that the game where it was raining and there were like 20 students with no shirts on in the stadium? They showed that video over and over. So they're a 3-point underdog at Rutgers, which means Vegas basically views the game as even. They need to go in there and win this game, because if they don't win this game, they're going to end up losing out again to back-to-back seasons. I mean, you have zero momentum if that happens. Zero.
One of the things,
and that will kill recruiting after having such a great recruiting momentum.
Well, not only that, here's one of the things, Rick, that I think needs to change, and it is directly tied with the staff. And I still think Tom Allen is the right guy for the job. You got to make some staff adjustments. You cannot have Jack Tuttle still be on this football team.
Right.
That's a terrible message to send to your current players.
No. You mean now after he's?
Yes.
No. I disagree because it's not.
You cannot have him on the football team. Listen, okay.
I heard you. I'm going to tell you why I disagree.
He's a
positive impact. He's a team player.
He's 1 foot out the door. You cannot have him. And what happens if something happens to Connor Bozich and he goes into the game? That sends a terrible message then to Dexter Williams and to anybody else on that roster. This guy, I'm not saying he's giving up on him, but you cannot say, look, a few years ago, Brandon Peters hit the transfer portal, and Jim Harbaugh allowed Brandon Peters to continue to use those facilities, and that was a good partnership or a good compromise. He said, you're not going to be part of the team, but you can still use our facilities, work out, we'll still support you. I have no problem with Tom Allen supporting Jack Tuttle as a person, helping him get to the next destination. If you have a guy who is like, I'm out after this year, and he steps on that field to play minutes, you're taking snaps away from somebody else. To me, that's a bad message to send. On a personal level, I don't care. But from a team mentality standpoint, you're playing somebody that has given up on us, basically. I don't think that's a good message to send.
Let's hear your rebuttal, Jim.
I disagree that he's given up on anything, but the thing he's not given up on is playing. He wants to play, and he does not see a path to play here next year because Connor Bozich will be here again next year. He's already lost out to him. He will lose out to him again. He knows that. So he is going to find a different different scheme that he fits into better, where he can use his last year of eligibility to play. There's no ill will. It is. I think that if he had to come into a game, he would try his hardest to win. Now, is Dexter Williams there? Are they equal? If they are, then yes, play Dexter Williams instead because he's going to be here. But if I'm going to put in my best, if Bozich were to go down, I'm going to put in the best option. If that's Jack Tuttle, then it's Jack Tuttle. If it's Dexter Williams, I'll put in Dexter Williams. But I don't think if there was ill will, if he was bitching and moaning, that's not the case. He loves the team. He loves Tom Allen. There is a bond there. So that is why, if I didn't know that stuff, I maybe might agree with you. But because I do know that, I disagree because he is not going to do anything to hurt the program. So now we got Rick.
I got 4 questions. One is, why, if you're going to do that, then why did he have to announce it now?
That was my first question.
Yes. Okay. Secondly, if Bozich gets hurt and Tuttle does go in and he plays great in Indiana, he leads Indiana to 2 or 3 wins, then why would he leave? Why wouldn't he stay and still be the quarterback? Thirdly, if Bozich gets hurt and you got to bring a guy in, don't you have to bring in Dexter Williams to be the quarterback? Why would you give any snaps to a guy that's going to leave at the end of the season? And fourthly, what about if there are other guys on the team who say, I'm not going to be here next year, but I still want to be here and I want to play? And what if you have 4 or 5 other guys say that? I mean, I don't know. I agree with Dustin. It's like, if you want to still work out here, that's fine. But you're not on the team. You're not going to practice. You're not playing. You've decided you're going to go elsewhere, and that begins right now.
Yeah, if Dexter Williams is ready to be that second guy, then by all means put him in. But if he's not, I don't think you want the drop off. You want to do everything you can to win. That's the only reason I would play him ahead of. I don't know where they are as far as the difference between the 2 and the 3 spot.
You want to win. I agree.
Sure think he is ready by now.
I don't know. Dexter Williams is going to probably give you something different. I don't think this is going to sound bad, and I don't mean to pour on the kid because he's a good kid. He's worked hard. He's stayed true to Indiana up until this point. So I don't think you have no benefit. This kid isn't going to be here next year. What's the point? At least get Dexter Williams some meaningful snaps so you can go into next season with a true quarterback competition, or maybe you run a 2-quarterback system. To me, there's absolutely no benefit. And the other part of it is he's a team captain deciding to transfer, making the announcement midseason. I don't know that there's ill will or anything like that. But again, it's just not a good message to send to the rest of your players.
I've never understood the timing of it. I sent that tweet out yesterday. I said, I'm not surprised because I knew why. I mean, he just wants to play. That's just easy to figure out. But the timing, I just don't. Why? I mean, he wanted to let the other teams know that he would be available. They don't care right now, do they? They're in the middle of a season too.
But you can't play him, man. You got to play Dexter Williams as the backup. Right. You have to because you need.
Well, everybody agrees, and so you all have convinced me.
He can play because then if he can't play, if you don't think he can be your quarterback, then you need to get a veteran quarterback out of the portal. I mean, otherwise, right? Because all they have now is they have the freshman kid from Texas. And they have the high school kid committed from Ohio who hasn't signed yet. So you need to find out what Dexter Williams can do.
And
if he is a player, he's part of your future.
1,000% agree. The second part of this is these players form specific relationships. If you play Jack Tuttle, Dexter Williams has some friends. He's 100%, in my opinion, going to hit the transfer portal. He's going to take some of those guys with him. So that it's just a bad decision all around. Again, like Greg said, like we said, if you want to use the facilities, that's fine. You can't be around the team. You're not going to play. You just have to cut those ties. This is another instance where I still love Tom Allen, but his loyalty to players, his loyalty to staff is to a fault. Yep, you can't have this.
Yeah, because once you make the decision to go in the portal, I don't care what you say, how committed you are, how much of a team guy you are. Part of your mind, you have flipped the switch,
right?
Where you've got to be like, where could I possibly go? And
you've convinced me.
If there are any schools at all who are really interested in him, he's already getting hit up by assistant coaches there saying, we might have a spot for you here. Think about here. We need this, we need that, or we can help you. It sounds like you might want to become a coach because didn't Alan make a comment of he'd make a great coach someday? So I mean. Maybe he wants to go back home to California and play somewhere in San Diego State or whatever in that area. But there's just once you decide like if people get ready to change jobs, they got 2-week period and you're gone. And in your mind, you're already thinking about where am I going to live and where am I moving to? And I just think I don't like the decision.
You've convinced me. You guys have convinced me. It's like a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator getting a head coaching job, but staying for the bowl game.
Yep.
And the team being ill prepared. We've seen that happen here recently. Basketball just around the corner, Rick. It's was it November 7th? Indiana's first game, I think. Gee whiz, it's here. Indiana ranked 13th. You had your AP poll out, I saw as well. Let's see, get back up to 14th. That. Yeah, IU in 14th. They ended up 13th overall, about where I thought they would. I'm a little surprised to see only 3 Big Ten teams in the AP poll. How many did you have in? I see 1, 2. Did you? Where's Michigan? You have Michigan?
I didn't vote Michigan. I voted Purdue.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of questions
about
Purdue, as there
I think they should be in.
But Matt Painter usually he's earned the benefit of the doubt, and I think Edey and Gillis and Brandon Newman and First and Kaufman Wren give them enough talent to start them out in the top 25. When you get to the last 4 or 5 teams, it's a revolving door all season anyway. So I'm going to go with Matt Painter over the. I mean, everybody always loves Michigan because they have quote big name recruits, and they do have Hunter Dickinson, but I don't know. I
think Illinois is the team, man, under the radar that people have to watch out for.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, it's mainly transfer portal stuff, and they do have some good freshmen. I know that much, but I'm not convinced how good this Sky Clark guy is. He missed most of his senior year last year with an injury, and then he was committed to Kentucky, and he decommitted, and UK didn't seem too perturbed when he left. So we'll see if he's as good as some people say he is. We'll see. Freshman point guards. And I know Hood-Schifino is a freshman point guard, but freshman point guard in the Big Ten, you've really got to be exceptional to have an impact.
And I think that I think Jalen Hood-Schifino is going to fill that role.
Well, I mean, everybody's saying that he's their best NBA prospect. Is that what I keep hearing?
Yeah.
Do you think it makes a difference, Rick, the fact that Illinois basically Sky Clark is kind of surrounded by mostly new pieces? I mean, they've got a few guys, whereas Jalen Hood-Schifino is walking into a more experienced locker room with some guys who have been there. Does that make a difference in your mind as to why maybe he can? Maybe there's a little bit more credibility to the hype
of Hood-Schifino.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I think he didn't. There's not as much pressure on him to come in and be quote the man. He's playing against he's playing next to a proven point guard, and Indiana and Xavier Johnson. I mean, Illinois. I know they have the kid that came from Baylor, right?
Mike Mayer.
And then they have Terrence Shannon who came from Texas Tech. They're really good players, but I mean, they lost Kofi. They lost Corbello, which I think that's addition by subtraction because I always thought he was out of control, was a terrible shooter. But Trent Frazier, man, that guy was a dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he made a ton of clutch shots for them. And didn't they lose Plummer, who was their best three-point shooter?
Yes.
I think he's gone. I mean, they've lost a lot. And I know people are touting a couple freshmen they had last year who were pretty good down the stretch, but I voted him in the top 25, and I've seen people vote him even higher. And I think it was Brendan Quinn of The Athletic picked them to win the league. Could be, but I need more proof on the Illini.